part of adulthood is responsibility, but it's the freedom to choose your responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And then part of being a productive member of society or a good man is, in fact, living up to your commitments in general.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate. Yeah,
okay.
Of course. But I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where a lot of people they like to forget that, there was a lot of cool stuff made in the early 2000s that kind of made our generation the way it is. And I think that's just pop culture affecting a generation like every generation. Because I'm sure there's things that were going on in your times, music, movies, whatever, that you don't realize influenced some of your decisions, but they kind of did.
I mean, my all-time favorite is Metallica. So I'm like, I don't know that you wouldn't know from the bald head, but I mean that I maybe there was a little bit of impressions on me from the hair bands.
Action movies were a big thing too. Not even trying to joke, but action movies are a big thing to where, kids were going to see action movie or Schwarzenegger or whatever, and they're walking out of the theater, big and strong, badass, whatever. Get to my generation, and you got more artsy films and more freelance stuff, like going to New York and being a photographer, going to Italy and being a painter and stuff like that. Not going to Vietnam and being a badass.
No, I would. I think that's a fair assessment right there.
And it's just, those are the figures we have to look up to, and they're not. And there's nothing wrong with being not manly figures, as long as they got a good message. So yeah.
And we are back with another episode of the Julius Files. I am your host, Jasan Julius, and got a little bit different. I would say we're just going to call this segment. I don't even know that this would be considered water cooler talks. It'll definitely it'll give you some perspective in general, because I happen to have another Julius here at this table today, and I think that this is, in a lot of ways, this has been a long time coming. But I also have Matt here, and
let's not get too excited.
No, I think that well, as you will see as this podcast goes on, there's a certain relevance to having Matt here with my son. So his full name is Philip Cole Julius, because we agreed when she had the twin boys in her stomach that the first one would be named after my grandfather and the second one would be named after her grandfather, and a man that I'm very proud of, that I look up to. I'm like literally today look up to as he's up there in heaven. Phil or Philip was my grandfather's name, but it has been it has been it's been a little bit of a journey, I would say, getting to the point where my son and I are actually sitting in the same room, much less actually doing a podcast in general. I think I can honestly say that my son came across the whole concept of podcasting before I did. I think obviously by all of this, I definitely did a deeper dive about it in general. But my son knows me well, so I intend on this being a very fruitful, raw, authentic podcast. But I cannot definitively tell you what rabbit holes we will end up going down, although I do have a couple of them up my sleeve because he used to work for me. He has since moved on to a different stage in his life, and I think that he's grown up tremendously. But without further ado,
Jesus.
Yeah, at least
tearful episode.
There we go. Let him. That's what I said. Let him at least hear your voice or introduce yourself. Because as I'm finding out, apparently, all it takes is people hearing your voice for them to hear the association.
They hear my voice and they know immediately who my dad is.
Yeah, that's
literally ran into that last week. They're like, "Oh, hi, my name's Ann. I'm Jason's kid. You know me." And immediately started laughing, and she's like, "There it is." So,
The laugh and the voice. Very
yeah,
similar.
no, that's every time I laugh or immediately start talking.
One of the things that my father impressed upon me as I was coming through life was that he felt like through life's patterns that I grew up too fast. Initially, that was by choice, or I'm sorry, initially that was by necessity, just due to the situation with me and my sister and my mother being a full-time college student. By the time he took custody of us, I was already on my way to 11, 12 years old, and I'm ready to be a full-blown adult. By 14, I'm working full-time, and he always impressed upon me that he felt like I grew up too fast, and that I had my whole life ahead of me, but I was ready to be an adult at a very young age. So when you're raising your kids, what you do is you look at your parents' mistakes or what you perceive as their mistakes, and then you get very intent you're not going to make those mistakes, or you're not going to allow those mistakes to happen, all the while you're making a fresh new set of mistakes in general. So I was very adamant that I was not going to make my kids work, that they had their entire life ahead of them. So I, rather than encouraging them to get out and work, I encouraged them to get out and play, to not actually work. I can honestly tell you that the closest thing that my son got to work was peeling eggs through his teenage years. Like when it got to the holiday season and the deviled egg season came in, it was all hands on deck, and I'll take him at any age because peeling eggs is quite a tedious thing.
That sucked.
Yes.
I'm not even going to lie. That sucks so much.
But I did not make him work. I didn't encourage him to work. So obviously I did not force him to work. And I do look back now, and I don't, I guess it's not regret. In reflection, I probably should have told you to get out and get a part-time job, something of that nature. And I mean, now that we're going back to the very early beginnings, I remember your mother telling me a story about how you had looked at her about 10 years old and been like, Mom, like, I don't want to grow up. Like, you got to pay bills, and you got to keep a roof over your head, and you got to buy groceries. And
there's something I got to say about that.
Well, no, and I'm more than happy to let you. It was I was
yeah.
impressed in the moment that at least you realized the responsibilities that were waiting on you. But even at a young age, you were like, I don't want nothing to do with that.
No, I didn't. No, I was very content with my bowl of cereal and my cartoons.
Yes. And it was probably about the same time that I was also, or short term after, before, however it fell timeline, watching the movie Failure to Launch. Mm-hmm. And I knew your mother.
Movie.
Yeah.
Recommend that movie. 10 out of 10.
It is.
Cole's recommendations.
But after hearing all of that, I became very adamant that just due to your mother and my stance as far as you not working, that you would be that failure to launch. That it was that you would likely be in the home well into your 20s, and obviously, in order for that to work, your mother and I would have to be together, and I was still adamant that wasn't going to work. But in a certain semblance, you didn't work. You didn't actually have to get serious about anything until you got into your 20s in general. If you have a statement that you would like to opine on that piece of it.
The only thing I would like to say, and this is more of me having the back for the rest of my generation, because I can see how in the 90s and 80s, y'all didn't have shit to really be inside for. My generation, that was, birth of the Xbox, birth of the PlayStation 2. You had a lot of home stuff, that all these really cool home amenities, I feel like we didn't ask for it, but kind of stunted my generation to where everyone just kind of naturally moved out of their parents at 22, not 18, 22. And I would say that, I was still living with you, but we were sharing rent, you know, from the age of like 22, 23, whatever. So that's where I'm like, I would say what I did, the course, the bulletin points of my life are the same bulletin points as a lot of people my age.
And don't get me wrong, because
they don't get serious until their early 20s, and then they find something in their mid 20s, and then they're finally on their own.
Well, and we did a podcast about this where it was like the unintended consequences of Obama and keep your kids on your insurance till 26. That didn't mean to, like, let them go in the basement and suck off of you and live off of your hard work and your success well into their 30s. Like, sooner or later, you needed to push them out and that proverbial sink or swim. And it's like when you push somebody out to sink or swim, they swim. I mean, like, your first...
Well, you hope they swim.
Well, but I mean, your first physical instinct is survival. So if you literally push somebody out into water, like, they will swim. They will figure out a way to swim.
So we're not going to let you be a swim coach.
But
Jason,
the thing
he's
is,
at the bottom, he's fine.
I never really pushed Cole out, but I started taking things away from him and forcing him to start providing those little things for himself, with an opposing force on the other side, because your mother was really good at, like, I would take things away and she would go find him and give them back to you. But it was that evolution of trying to...
Mother's thing
I know,
to
that
do.
sounds like that's kind of the mother thing to do.
Well, but it was...
I didn't have a problem with it.
No, I rightfully said that's because, and that's what I'm hoping you've gotten to a different place, because you didn't know to have a problem with it.
No.
Part of adulthood is responsibility, but it's the freedom to choose your responsibilities. And then part of being a productive member of society or a good man is, in fact, living up to your commitments in general.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. But I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where a lot of people they like to forget that, you know, there was a lot of cool stuff made in the early 2000s that kind of made our generation the way it is. And I think that's just pop culture affecting a generation, like every generation. Because I'm sure there's things that were going on in your times, music, movies, whatever, that you don't realize influenced some of your decisions, but they kind of did.
I mean, my all-time favorite is Metallica. So I'm like, I don't know that you wouldn't know from the bald head, but I mean that I maybe there was a little bit of impressions on me from the hair bands.
Action movies were a big thing too. Not even trying to joke, but action movies were a big thing to where, you know, kids were going to see action movie or Schwarzenegger or whatever, and they're walking out of the theater, big and strong, badass, whatever. Get to my generation, and you got more artsy films and more freelance stuff, like going to New York and being a photographer, going to Italy and being a painter and stuff like that. Not going to Vietnam and being a badass.
No, I would I think that's a fair assessment right there.
And it's just, those are the figures we have to look up to. And there's nothing wrong with being not manly figures as long as they got a good message. So yeah. All depends on who you listen to.
I mean, it's like I want to find because again, perspective, like you're looking through a different lens. I'm fearful that the definition or the description of what manhood and masculinity has changed.
Oh, 100%. I'm just talking about the stereotypical Arnold Schwarzenegger masculinity opposed to the stereotypical, you know, hipster.
Jonah Hill.
I mean, nothing. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I could sit here and
you.
saying, like, Jonah Hill is not a masculine man, but he is a man that I would definitely look up to and listen to because he's been through a lot. I mean, I watched that one documentary, The Struts or whatever. Is that what it was
I know
called?
what you're talking. Stutes.
Yeah. That's what it is. I watched
and
that.
it was very
really
bold.
But
for
that's
him.
where
Yes.
Jonah Hill, I mean, a good example of a man where I was like, you're not going to get any masculinity advice from him, but you're definitely going to get some more worldly advice, more open advice, mind-opening advice. And
as I remember, shortly after that, he literally, I mean, he got lambasted over a tweet or something that he put out where he was basically holding his girlfriend to standards by saying like, "Hey, I'm not okay with this," and then they tried to beat him up about it, and I was like, "Good for you for actually
Standing
having
up for yourself.
having
exactly.
boundaries and being like, hey, I'm not okay with this." That's
man, having boundaries nowadays is.
it really, and the thing is,
I don't even like talking about it, but it's one of those things where it's like you're not allowed to have them in society. Just flat out. If you ask me, does society think that men should have problems? No, nope. Supposed to be stonewall stoic, and it's just like.
And the bad thing is that I can almost see that stoic if you come back into my generation where you're talking about like strong men that goes out and
nothing phases you.
Yes, but then you get into what you're saying your world is influenced by, and then telling you're supposed to be strong and stoic, and I'm like, well, that's not the influence that you had.
Exactly.
Then you wonder where the dichotomy and the problem is.
Yeah,
Exactly.
those examples weren't there.
Yeah.
No.
Which I guess would lead into for all of the boxes that I needed to check, I was a good father. I wasn't a great father. And when I say that, it was like, because I look up to my Uncle Greg, and I mean, I'm like, this man was just the absolute epitome of a great father. But I looked at what my dad taught me, and it was taught by observing and of him living and creating an example. So I tried to replicate that with my son by living to a certain moral code, displaying high character, displaying strong work ethic, and hoping that he observed. And through that observation, I was being a role model. I don't know how well that went or how well that was received in your late teens and early 20s. At the time, it didn't feel like it was received very well.
It's not 100% one thing or the other. You know, sometimes some things about your qualities as a kid, I definitely gravitated towards, tried to imitate. But then there was definitely some qualities where, you know, by all fairness, you're a human, I'm a human, two differing opinions. There were some qualities I didn't like, and those are qualities that I privately try to be, like you said at the beginning, you know, you look at your parents' perceived mistakes and you try to be what you perceive as better. And that's, so that's where I'm saying, like, there's some things you did that was like, okay, yeah, he's hardworking, strong, stoic, and stuff like that. And those were qualities I was wanting. But then there were some qualities, like, obviously, like, every human's not perfect. So, yeah.
You have some quality, and we've we got another podcast we're going to do about the offsite we just came out of, but we steered away from talking about anything that opinions that we might have observed about from other people. But I made it very clear that I was prepared to receive that because I'm a pretty reflecting, introspective individual, and I mean, I got thick skin. I can take it. Is there like qualities?
I knew this is where
that you perceived,
we're gonna get deep in here now.
Well, I don't want to go through every single one, but I'll go through a pretty interesting one that bugged me as a kid was just the here it's done type of mentality instead of like for example, in no way, shape, or form did this happen to me when I was a kid, but like, let's say I broke a toy. You wouldn't show me how to fix the toy. You would just fix the toy and just, here you go. And that quality was kind of like one of those where it wasn't 100% good. It wasn't 100% bad because you showed that you were a man and you were given a task, a problem from a family member, and you got it done. But then there was also this, you didn't really teach me anything. You didn't really like coach me through what I did wrong and how I could do better next time. So yeah, that was, and like I said, you know what I mean? It's never one thing or the other.
No, and I'm not going to necessarily disagree with your statement, but then we come back to that because I remember saying it to you many times that I'm like, I'm not your buddy, that's your mom's racket.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to solve problems and display in a manner to get you to an age where I could start the process of literally imparting wisdom that I wish my father would have imparted through his life because he didn't. He showed by example, and I was so quick to growing up that I moved out. I mean, I don't even. If I was 17, I had just turned 17. Like I moved out quick. So there was not that time or relationship, much less, I don't know that he had a strong desire to impart that wisdom on you, as to where I have been sitting here waiting for you to grow up to a point where I could say, I have figured some things out that's taken me a lot of years, and if you are willing to receive that information, I can shorten your learning curve and get you further and faster in life in general. But I do remember having that conversation with you, I'm going to say about a year ago, and you were like, yeah, no, I'm not there yet. I still want to take it at my pace. I still want to learn my own way.
It was funny, but
I'll let you know when.
That's what I was just about to say. I'm like, I know I always have you in my back pocket, Dad. But no, it's just ever since, going out on my own, I've kind of just wanted to take my own bumps and bruises. Obviously, I'm not going to take a whole thrashing. That's when I'll give you a call. Haven't gotten one of those. So, yeah.
So it's just like waiting until the shit gets deep.
I mean, a little bit. Isn't that what parents are for? You kind of figure shit out until shit gets too real.
Like, I couldn't let you know when I was ankle deep, but I felt like I'm waist deep now, so I'll give you a call.
I'm like, my head's right above water.
Well, because the funny thing is that, and I mean, he and I haven't really talked about it, but it's like he had a problem. And I knew about the problem, but he didn't call me to solve the problem. And I remember telling Matt that, like, good for him. He solved his problem. The longer he waits and the fewer small problems he asks me to solve, the bigger problems that I will be willing to help and solve. Of course, then I found out how you solve the problem and was like, are you kidding me?
I don't even know what problem you're talking about.
Well, all I know is there was a problem that you went to some other individuals for help, and so you really didn't solve the problem yourself. You just chose other avenues to get the help,
that's one thing I will say. That is how I do solve my problems. Is that there are certain figures that I call depending on the severity of the problem.
Which would also lead to why
with Matt, there's a lot of problems where it's like, I wish I just had a brother to call because I don't really want to talk to mom and dad about this.
Yeah.
And there are some things I've called Matt about, but then there's also some things where I don't want to talk to you guys about this. I'd rather talk to mom. And I've called mom about some stuff.
Because she's going to be like sympathetic ear.
And then there has been, but there have been certain situations, I'll let you know next time it happens, where I came directly to you.
Okay.
So, and that's what I'm saying. There's certain mature opinions that I appreciate in my life, and those are the mature opinions I always bounce what's going off of to make sure that it's actually sound of mind.
And for a little bit of context here, so I mean, the reason for this in particular podcast that I've got Matt here in this is because Matt has been like a big brother to my son. When I hired Matt, Cole was living with me in Indianapolis, and he was. Him and his mother both were helping with the actual open of the Indianapolis store. And I think that in those times, Cole gravitated towards Matt as like a big brother status. So they have spent 6 years around each other.
It's the little brother I never had.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say you're the big brother I needed.
And that right there was the my hope was that knowing that there was guidance there, that it would be good guidance, because obviously I know a lot. I always keep my ear to the ground, but I don't know everything. So it's been a process of knowing that I had somebody else on the team that Cole felt comfortable going to for advice, input. Not that Cole always listened to what Matt had to say.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. Again, I bounce my opinions off. I'll make my decisions off that.
Like, ooh, I didn't like that answer. Let me go over here.
A little bit.
So I have been a big believer in, as I've talked about many times, personal accountability. And in my eyes, personal accountability only breaks one way. And it becomes really easy when you talk about personal accountability to solve other issues. one issue. I don't treat my family any different than I treat anybody else because I hold everybody to the same expectations. I won't slide shit under the rug. Specifically, I won't slide shit under the rug if it comes down to family because I feel like it is only programming them in a matter of time before they expect you to slide the next thing under the rug. Then when you apply that to business, I also don't buy into nepotism. And I don't buy into nepotism because nepotism leads to you're trying to build a team and you are an uphill battle already trying to earn the respect of the team. And it's incredibly hard to earn the respect of the team if they see that family is being given special treatment or being given positions that everybody around knows that they did not earn. And I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about it, but I think that one of the reasons Cole decided to go on his own was because I refused nepotism. I think that he's grown at this point, so I really don't know what he will necessarily say about it. I'm hoping that over time that he's seen where I'm coming from and sees the value and the character build that comes with me not allowing that.
I do.
Because I do know that people have looked at you like expecting that you would have received that, and you've been very clear to say like
I didn't earn it.
No, but I'm not built that way.
Exactly, and that's what I've always told people is that like, hey Cole, why aren't you a manager? Well, because I haven't earned it. He's not just going to give it to me. Like, and a lot of people they do like they take this moment of like, oh wow, just never thought it could go that way. They automatically assume, oh, family business, son. Oh, you must be high up. No, you got to earn your way. You do. And it's just, that was always one thing that like, obviously at the time it sucked, but as I've gone out on my own, grown up, no, nepotism is never good in any scenario. You don't get any kind of special treatment for anything. But yeah. And I'm not going to deep dive into why I've learned that, I've definitely learned why nepotism's a bad thing.
I think that's everybody derives their lessons in life off of experiences they go through in general.
Oh yeah, because we'd be sitting here going through 100 different scenarios of why I do believe that. But just trust me, I've been through it. I believe it. Nepotism's not good. Don't do it.
Matt, do you have anything that you would add to that?
On the nepotism front?
Yeah.
I
guess I should be clear for I would hope, but because you can Google it. Nepotism is showing favoritism to a certain group of people. Generally speaking, you're showing favoritism to your family amongst a regular group of people.
There's a broader definition, but that's generally the gist.
Yeah.
Is that you own a business, so your son is automatically a manager, and that is bullshit.
It just didn't work that way.
No, I think I'm glad that he'll say, and that is bullshit.
That is bullshit.
Because I'm like 5 years ago, he was like, this is bullshit.
Because that's why I'll even admit, in the moment, it sucked, and it wasn't until I actually started breaking away to where I fully understood why you didn't go that route with me. But now I do, 100%.
Yeah, because we had many talks and conversations and arguments about that because I would hold him. And it was unfair technically to him, but it's like I held him to a higher standard.
Well, it was like I'll even call myself out for this. I wanted to kind of like pick and choose when I wanted to be Jason's son.
Exactly.
I did. Exactly. And I always did. And that was part of the nepotism that I now realize, oh my God, how immature of me to even think that way. So, yeah. But you grow as a person. You learn. Today.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. And that's where like I was waiting for us to get to this side of it, because where would you be character-wise as an individual had I not taught you that hard lesson?
We literally talked about this on the way here. Yeah. Had I not left, I would still be making pizzas, probably still in somewhat of the depression hole that I was in.
Okay, where would you be had I bought into nepotism and allowed you to climb a ladder inside of the operation where you hadn't earned it?
I probably would have been on more podcasts before this one. That's number one.
I'm curious as to how that rabbit hole or where you get with that, but
just
okay.
Just saying, probably would have been more involved with podcast. But if you had given me nepotism, I mean, you probably would have had a hard time owning a staff, just flat out, just that way. So that's where I'm saying, like, had I gotten nepotism, whatever nepotism I would have gotten, I would have fucked it up. And I would have lost it quickly. So it's not even a matter of like, where do you think I would have been if I had nepotism? It just would have been bad. It would have been bad for the business, and nobody would have a job. So that's
right there, because that's what I tried to plead.
So I know where I would be had I stayed, and continue to work for you. But I mean, I also, it's even scarier thought of thinking of what would have happened had you actually given me the power to actually fuck shit up that bad. That's my thing. Is that
because people show you can build family businesses.
You can.
You create a huge barrier from getting the best out of the people that are outside of the family and loop. You create a trust issue in how you go about valuing relationships, and you make it incredibly harder unless the individual is truly putting in the work and earning it. Mm-hmm. And part of that earning it is in outperforming everybody else.
Absolutely.
Because I tried to impress upon both you and your sister that you have to earn your name for your first name, not for Jason's son or Jason's daughter. If you can't earn it for yourself, I can't give it to you. That's not earning it.
Exactly. Oh, then that was my main crutch of why I wanted to leave, is because I wanted to generate a sense of respect from individuals that just knew me as Cole, not Jason's son. So, and since getting into the job field that I have, I'm definitely Cole now. I'm not Jason's son. So, yeah. My business card doesn't say Jason's son. It says Cole Julius.
It would have been funnier if it was the other way around.
I know, right? but
I do still put Jason's son on my card.
I mean, if you want to shout him out. So yeah. But I mean, no, nepotism is just it's one of those things where, because I mean, I'm able to have this unique perspective of being a boss's son, but not receiving any nepotism, to where I understand the kid getting the nepotism. I also understand the dude that just doesn't have any nepotism and it's all his work ethic. And it's pretty disheartening, being a normal guy going into somewhere and being like, oh, I can work 10 years, bust my ass just as much as this dude, but this dude's getting promoted just because of his last name. That bugs me just outside of Coffee Junkies. So yeah, and it always, when I realized that I wasn't really going to have any major position at the company, that's when I realized I just need to go ahead and go, because I'm not going to be anything more than a pizza maker here. And that's probably, true for a lot of other pizza businesses. I probably would have only been a pizza maker. There's no way Papa John's would have made me a manager or anything like that. So,
I mean, yeah, because I'm sitting there going, I would have had no problem with you.
I almost got too comfortable.
Yeah, I would have had no problem with you being promoted if it would have been other people inside of the organization saying,
hey, that's a smart move.
Yeah, he's earning it for himself. Like, he has earned it. He deserves it. Because in order to promote family, you have to be almost above reproach, where if somebody tries to allude to nepotism, that I could very quickly snap back and say, ask his coworkers if this is nepotism or if he's actually earned his place.
Well, and I would even say one of the quickest ways to find that out straight up is that as soon as you ask about the person, said person or whatever, is if anybody backs them up, there you go. If nobody backs them up and everyone kind of goes and snickers and goes, yeah, he got that because of his last name, then that's probably the reason why he got the job. Because I'm telling you, if I got the manager job, there's no shot Matt's not being like, hey, Colt earned that. You know what I mean? But you got to earn it. But some people, they're in the position that they are because of their last name. And it's kind of just like, it irks me because I grew up the way I did. And I just want to look at these people and shake them and almost shake their fathers and being like, why Why would you do this?
Well, and I mean, that's where I think I was able to come in with a unique perspective because I had the same.
Oh, that's right. I always forget that your dad owned that racetrack.
Yeah, well, it's like, and then my grandpa having the bakery, so it's like I was able to try to help in that. Obviously, you still wanted it at the time. But,
Well, and when I think about doing this podcast, and I mean, generally speaking, a good lawyer does not ask a question they don't already know the answer to. Did I do you a favor in life by not extending that nepotism?
Oh, 100%. 110%.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's the message that I'm looking to put out there to you people or anybody starting a business. Like, when you're starting a business, you're going to grab for every tool that you can grab for, but you're not doing your kids any favors in their personal development as human beings by allowing nepotism to creep into the picture. You're not doing yourself any favors because you're not earning the respect of the other people. And I do believe that there is a certain sense of respect that I was able to earn from the rest of the team by being very pointed that I was not willing to extend that nepotism.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Whenever I told people that, like, I got to earn my thing, they'd be like, oh, well, that makes sense.
That's what I was about ready to say. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, you didn't ever stop me from holding him accountable.
Always held accountable.
Because I think accountability is the cornerstone of like so many things in life. Like, I despised entitlement and victimhood, and both of those are so far removed from accountability. Like, if accountability is a cornerstone in everything in life, you're not going to find entitlement and victimhood. I think you're going to build character that allows you to actually overcome challenges, trials, tribulations. Living in an unfair world, and utopia doesn't exist. So the reality is we are all born into an unfair world. It's a question of what kind of character traits are instilled in you or that you develop in order to give you the best tools to actually live your life. And it was always my hope that we could get from there to here. Because while we don't need to talk about the details, let's just say that there was a lot of ugly times between us.
I mean, we're a family just like anybody else.
Getting from there to here. Yes.
Absolutely. No, and then the last thing I would like to say about the whole just not showing me any nepotism and what it did for me. Showing me nepotism would have been nice because I would have been financially, amazing. But the personal growth I've done as a human because of that choice has been priceless.
And that
was the goal.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'd rather.
You can feed a man for a day, or you can teach him to fish, and he can feed himself for the rest of his life.
It was the shitty part about walking away from the possibility of the position and money here, but the personal growth that I've experienced has been what's truly going to help me out later in life. Yeah, the nepotism would have been a quick fix that would have boiled into a big problem later on and stuff like that. So that's why I feel, that's my ultimate opinion, is that, it would have been nice, but it's not what I needed. It's not what anyone needs. No,
and I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a certain part that warms my heart because I go back to a conversation that I had with Matt pretty early on with you. And it was more or less in the tune of me sitting on a throne, and I was just the placeholder, and he was just waiting for his time to be able to sit on that throne. And Matt went out of his way to assure him that it was a custom molded seat that that was not going to be applicable to his future in general. And it's because I want you to be your own man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get given anything in life. I'm not going to say that I have not had a tremendous amount of support. I have had people help me, but nothing was given to me. I had to swallow my pride. I had to find humility. I had to look inward to find my own mistakes before people were willing to help me. Because if I got all up in my feelings and tried to find entitlement and victimhood, nobody was willing to help. Generally because they were in a different space and they saw I wasn't in the right mindset to be worth helping.
Yeah. No one wants to go into a lost cause. So if all you seem like is a lost cause, then yeah, don't be afraid when people start just passing you by and not helping you out. If you at least if you want some help, say it and be honest about it. Don't just be like, oh, I could really use some help, but it's just this thing and then this thing and then that thing, and it's just like,
Life's
do
always
you need
unfair.
the help or do you not? Like, yeah. That's my thing. Is like, don't ever present yourself as a lost cause. Because you're not. No one is a lost cause.
Oh, no. I've long said, I mean, you can have years and years and years of being a grade A fuck up, and at any time you can start making better decisions and putting yourself on a better track. But I also, this is where we have that deep-seated individualism that everybody wants to go their own path and do their own thing. But then we get into the core of humanity, and the point that I'm trying to make is that if you do not ask somebody for help that's capable of helping you, you are robbing that individual of an opportunity to help where they are capable. And in the same sentence, you cannot expect them to help an entitlement or a victimhood mentality, because now you're guilting them. You're not giving them an opportunity to truly help you get to a better place where you are already starting from accountability and just you've tripped and fall and you need help getting to another level because you are willing to learn and accept your own faults and failures.
Exactly. Oh, there's a gash in my leg. I don't know what to do. I need some help, but I just can't get up. I just can't brush the leaves off my leg. And well, if you use the other leg, motherfucker, and stand up, I can hobble you to a hospital and help you out. That's my big example right there.
I tell you what, I didn't see that analogy coming, but
I mean,
but the thing is you might have because the analogies and the storytelling is.
It's on point.
I really do try and paint pictures to the best of my ability.
Well, and sometimes just take somebody else's words to describe it differently. Same meaning, described differently.
Oh yeah,
can make sense.
Yeah, different set of eyes.
Yeah,
perspective.
Yeah,
change your perspective, change your life.
For sure.
Or be willing to let your perspective be changed and your life will change.
That's another one, yes.
Cole didn't want to let me. He wasn't having nothing to do with me changing his perspective early on. And I mean, the reason that he's on this podcast today is because he has tremendously grown over the last couple years. I'm very proud of my son for the growth that has occurred in the last couple years.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
All right.
The softer side of Jason.
Wow. I'm not
seen
going
this,
to, yeah, that's.
Camera capturing this?
It's not a softer side. It's me. It's like,
yeah, it's called the softer side.
nah.
I used to tell people, because everyone come up to me saying, oh, your dad's such a hard ass. I'm like, no, he's not. He's actually a teddy bear. He really is. Once you get to know him and you stop fucking up around him.
Yeah, you can't be fucking up.
That's what I'm saying. And it's not like one of those things where like, and anyone that understands and I'm talking to face to face, they understand this. It's not because you're a hard ass. It's because you truly want better for everyone around. And it's that accountability thing. So it's like, as long as you're accountable, you're not fucking up all the time and playing the victim. No, my dad is more than happy to help, be a calm voice, be everything you could want.
Say calm.
But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
Calm-ing.
You get what I'm saying, though. You get what I'm saying. My dad is a teddy bear. It's just You know,
to some people.
he just doesn't like it when someone's fucking up.
Well, and that's what I said. I'm no better or worse than anybody else. I'm different. And when I say I'm different, I think at this stage of my life, maybe it's because I make better decisions.
I think Julius's are a rare breed. That's what I think it is.
Wow.
I can say that.
Well, I know. I'll say this: that Julius is there. There is a certain. We're blessed genetically. There's been some good
that's
genes.
I don't even
in
care
this.
if people want to chalk it up to just ego or whatever. I've heard that so many times throughout my life because my grandfather was an influential figure. My grandpa was an influential figure. My dad's as sure as fuck an influential figure. And I got a little bit of influence in myself to where I don't mean to brag and boast, but I've heard it enough throughout my life that people want to make our last name sound so special. It must fucking be. So I'm sitting there like, we must be a rare breed.
I was going to wrap this up, but the way this is going to go.
There was have 3-4 hour sessions.
Let's just say there's a story that I'm going to tell, and we'll see whether it resonates with you. So I found myself in the middle of a discussion where one of my managing partners was having a hard time with her kid because he's blessed to the point that she's trying to get across to him that he really needs to be more humble. And then another individual chimed in and he was like, good luck getting a kid to understand being humble and humility, like that they're blessed in all of these ways. You ain't going to get him to be humble by telling them that they need to be humble. And this is the direction that I took with the conversation. If you want to get your kid to steer towards humility, then you have got to make them realize that the blessings that they have, they did not earn. They were given to them. And not everybody is lucky enough to have those types of blessings bestowed on them. So if you come at it from a place of gratitude, then you will also say, yeah, I'm grateful for all of these things, but I also do want to have friends. Okay, you won't have friends if you're walking around acting like your shit don't stink because you were blessed with height and good genetics and a deep voice and a sharp brain, because not everybody in the world was blessed with all of these things that I genetically passed on to you. But if I can get you to a point of understanding it was a blessing given to you and it is something that you should be grateful for, then you will start to realize maybe I shouldn't boast about these things because I did not, in fact, earn them. These things were what was given to me, and I won't have any friends if I strut around like my shit don't stink, because you haven't earned any of these things. There's nothing wrong with having a certain level of confidence. I mean, having good self-esteem.
I feel like a lot of people are missing that nowadays.
But my point being is because I'm like,
because people are so quick to be like, you got an ego.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not. Yeah, and there's nothing. I would say
there's nothing wrong with having
nothing
an ego.
wrong with being. That's ultimately there is nothing wrong with being an ego if you can back it up.
I think it's
if
healthy.
you got an ego and your shit's not together, then yeah, people are just going to naturally not gravitate toward you, and that should be your sign that your shit's not together.
Here's your sign.
Like, I mean, honestly,
where's Jeff?
Like, if you know that you're a good, awesome, strong, hardworking person and whatever, and people just aren't treating you that way, then you're probably not acting that way.
And there we go right there, because generally, whether you have been endowed or whether you have earned, it comes a lot through stronger. I wanted to use the word silently, but less verbally.
Oh, yeah.
Because the more verbal you are about it, the more cocky, the more arrogant.
Yep.
And
more of a target you make yourself.
Yeah, and at a young age.
Yeah.
When it's obvious that at a young age you haven't done enough to earn it.
You haven't done
and it's that earn it thing that leads to respect, and you're not going to get respect off of what has been blessed upon or bestowed upon you. Exactly. You should be grateful for these things because generally it is a leg up in life as long as you utilize it properly. But it is the gratitude of understanding not everybody gets blessed with those things.
Exactly.
Everybody has their own starting point in life. It's about what you do with it. And again, we're coming back to this piece started with, how do you get somebody that has been very blessed genetically to find humility? Reminding them that if you really want to have good relationships with other people, you cannot be flaunting and being cocky and boasting about things that were not in your control. They were literally given to you. And if you want to have good relationships with people, maybe you tone that piece down and just continue to use your God-given talents and genetic to the best of your ability in general. You should never mail it in or throw in the towel when you have the ability to perform well. But performing well and talking a bunch of smack, that's too.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, the one phrase that I've learned in the last 2 years venturing out into the job field that I did, you hustle in silence. You hustle in silence. That's all. And that's it. And that's all. And that's a big thing is that, yeah, because if you're hustling and you're bragging about it, I mean, good. You got an ego. You can back it up. Cool. Awesome.
You're painting a target on your back.
You're painting a target on your back. But then also it goes the other way, that if you're not top dog and you're screaming that you're top dog, that's another target you're just painting on your back. So you might as well just hustle in silence. And just know that you're doing a good job. You don't need anyone telling you you're doing a good job.
No, because
you need to know you're doing a good job and just hustle in silence.
And the moral of that story is the world is hard enough in itself without you being your own worst enemy and literally painting targets on your own back.
Exactly. That's what I always, just be a little gangster and a little hustler on the side. Don't try and be a unique little snowflake and I can't stand that. Can't stand that. I just can't, because everybody wants to be a unique little snowflake. Gangster. And my thing is just be your own individual, but don't shove it down anyone's throat. Just do you and just hustle in silence. And that's what I'm saying. Hustle in silence. Obviously, that's a phrase about working itself, but I mean, it could be applied to a lot of things.
Just absolutely.
Walking down the street, the way you did your hair this morning, just hustle in silence. If you think your hair looks great, cool. Keep going.
Well, and I've said when they come through the drive-thru, I'm like, a woman does not pick her jewelry and does not do her hair to not be noticed.
Exactly.
But it's somebody else noticing, not you going out of your way to,
hey, look at this.
Yeah, to throw it in their face and be like, hey, notice me.
If a girl's like, hey, look at the way I did my hair today, I don't give a shit how you did your hair today. But well, if you did your hair pretty cool and you're not talking to me, I'm going to walk up and be like, hey, you got pretty nice hair.
There we go.
And that's all it is.
Because if they're asking for it, they're also asking to be negged upon.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, I wouldn't even just categorize that in the world. I would, boys too. Because there's times where I do shit where I wish a girl would come and be like, hey, that was kind of cute what you did. But does it happen? No, because I'm a guy. but
you can admit it.
I can admit it as a human being. It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be, bad. It would be nice.
Yeah, the bow and the hair probably was a little too far.
I mean, yeah. But again, I bounced my opinion off you and I ran with it.
So ladies, I mean, like, so if they did that, do you think that it would make you try harder?
That's where I personally know, because I'm not a pursuer. I've never been a pursuer. I've always been the kind of guy that's like, if a girl's gonna like me or be attracted to me, she'll let me know. So, but I would say in a broad sense, a normal Joe Schmo, yeah. Just do your makeup, do your hair, don't talk about it. Just do your thing. Just do your thing. Just go about your business.
Is that the title of this episode? Just do your thing.
I mean, I was hustle in silence. I mean, because.
That's a phrase I'm going to take to my grave. The last 2 years, that's a phrase that I've learned that I will take to my grave.
Look,
in silence.
I've said many times, I spent so much of my life proving other people wrong, and I got to a much more positive place when I started just proving myself right. But part of that proving other people wrong was just being underestimated. And if I spent my time bitching and whining about being underestimated, I would not have gotten where I am. What I did was just simply hustled to, in fact, prove other people wrong. And I ended up actually building a career out of it. And that is part of entrepreneurship, of continually beating the odds. And you beat odds through actions, not words. And so that hustle in silence resonates.
There you go. Put it on a t-shirt. Make sure to cut me a commission.
Wait a minute. We pay a commission for the design, not the actual idea.
Gotcha. We need it. My people will call your people. We'll get this all sorted.
We don't
out.
have big people sizes, so I'm excluded
Wow.
anyway. So
See?
We are working on big people sizes.
First big people size shirt. Hustle and silence.
Wow.
There you go.
Matt, do you before I wrap this up, you have anything that you would like to add to this?
no, I was just happy to be here for it. I've been giving them shit for a long time. Not have you on here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Again, as always, questions, comments, snide remarks, I invite them. If you know somebody that needs to hear this, please share the show. This was I didn't know quite how this was going to turn out, but hopefully something good, maybe a little bit of perspective came out of this, or it helps somebody figure out what they're going to do when it comes to how they're going to manage, run, or staff their own business. So, all right, until next time, you guys have a good night.